My name is Ethan. I'm not someone who believes in ghosts, demons, or whatever you want to call the things people blame when they're scared. I've always chalked that stuff up to stories, trauma, mental illness, anything but the supernatural. But something happened in the summer of 2010 that I can't explain. I don't even tell people about it anymore. Not really, because when I do, I start seeing signs of it again. This is the last time I'm going to write it down. After this, I'm done. I was 17 when I went to stay with my cousin Ben at his dad's cabin in Maine. No internet, no service, just trees, a shallow lake, and miles of wilderness. It was supposed to be 2 weeks of swimming, fishing, hiking classic summer, and honestly, it was nice for the first few days. But there was something off about that place, something I couldn't put into words. I didn't sleep well there. The air felt too still at night. No crickets, no wind, just silence. Once, I thought I heard someone breathing outside the bedroom window. Slow, wet, rhythmic. But when I looked, no one was there. Ben brushed it off. The woods play tricks on you. You start to hear things. About a week in, we found this old logging trail behind the cabin. It wasn't marked on any map. It looked like no one had walked it in years. We followed it for about 45 minutes. Then we saw it. The shack. I swear to God, it looked like it was waiting for us. Half hidden by overgrowth. Roof partially caved in. One small window. No glass. The door was leaning open like it was inviting us inside. I asked Ben if he'd ever seen it before. He said no. We went in. The air was cold. Too cold. Like the kind of cold that doesn't make sense in 90-degree heat. The smell hit me next: damp wood, rot, and something else. Something like meat left out too long. Inside were shelves of jars, each sealed with wax, each filled with things. One had what looked like fingernails floating in brown water. Another had something hairy and long, coiled like a worm. Some had teeth, way too many to belong to one person. But what froze me were the photos. Hundreds of them. All Polaroids, scattered across the floor, nailed to the walls, stuffed into the cracks. Most were of trees or trails, some of animals, but a few were of people. Standing in the woods, alone, blurry, facing away. Every photo had their back to the camera. Then Ben picked one up and said, "Dude, this is me." And it was. Same clothes, same hair, same posture. Taken from behind. And I swear to whatever you believe in, I saw him move just slightly out of sync with himself, like his body was reacting before his brain. Then we heard it. Knock, 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 from under the floorboards. Slow, measured, like someone knocking from inside a coffin. We didn't speak, we didn't move. Then something whispered. I couldn't tell if it was inside my head or in the air around us. "You let it see you." We ran. Branches tore at us. I tripped. Ben kept running. I got up and followed, but for a second, just 1 second, I swear, I saw someone standing just outside the shack. They were tall, too tall. Their skin was empty, gray, translucent, like tissue paper soaked in water. And their eyes weren't there. Just black, wet hollows. We told Ben's dad, Uncle Rick. He didn't ask for details. Just grabbed his shotgun and walked with us back down the trail. But the shack was different now. The door was closed. The jars were shattered. The photos were gone. The walls were charred, like something had tried to burn its way out from the inside. The floor was blackened, melted. Uncle Rick didn't say a word. Just stared at it, jaw clenched, then muttered, "I buried this place 15 years ago." We left the next morning. But Ben changed. I don't mean he got quieter or moodier. I mean, he wasn't Ben anymore. He started waking up in the middle of the night with mud on his feet. Sometimes I'd catch him staring at the wall like he was watching something I couldn't see. One time I called his name, and he turned his head too slowly, like his neck didn't know how to move naturally. Then he smiled, but it wasn't Ben's smile. It was wrong. Too wide, too still. Like something was wearing his face and hadn't figured out how to animate it yet. It's been 15 years. Ben doesn't speak to anyone now. He's in a facility upstate. No diagnosis, no clear illness. But the doctors all say the same thing. He just doesn't respond. Like something is inside. But it's not him anymore. I still dream about the shack. And sometimes, just as I'm drifting off, I hear it. Knock, 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 under the floor. If you're reading this, don't go into the woods behind a cabin you don't know. Don't touch the jars. Don't look at the photos. And whatever you do, don't answer the knocking. Because it follows. And once it sees you, it remembers. I want to make one thing clear. I didn't believe in ghosts before this. I believed in bad dreams, paranoia, sleepwalking, anything logical. But something happened to me when I was 15 that broke logic in half and buried it out in the woods behind my grandparents' house. July 2007, Greenwood, Pennsylvania. My name is Daniel Reed. I was staying at my grandparents' place for 3 weeks during summer break while my parents traveled to Europe. They lived in a small, rotting farmhouse deep in the Pennsylvania countryside, right up against a stretch of unmarked woods that locals didn't talk much about. Grandma used to say, if the trees go quiet at night, close your window and don't look outside, not even a peek. I thought she was just old and dramatic, but I should have listened. Night 1. The silence. At around 2 a.m., I woke up in a sweat. The house was old and didn't have air conditioning, so I had left the window open. What woke me wasn't heat. It was the silence. No crickets, no owls, just the sound of nothing. It was wrong, like something had smothered the woods. Then I heard it. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Footsteps. Someone was walking in the gravel around the house. Slow, dragging steps, like they weren't sure how their legs were. I peeked out the window. There was a man, tall, dressed in black, standing just beyond the tree line, facing the house. Perfectly still. Not moving. Not blinking. Just watching. I ducked down, told myself it was a hunter or maybe a drunk neighbor. But something in me already knew that wasn't a person. Night 2, the ghost in the glass. The next night, I shut the window, locked it, closed the curtains. At 2:13 a.m., I woke again. No sound, no wind, just pressure, like the air was too thick to breathe. Then, a tapping on the window. Light, deliberate, like fingernails. I didn't want to look, but something made me. I moved the curtain just a tiny bit. He was right there, not behind the trees, not in the driveway, but inches from the glass. The man with no eyes. His face wasn't a face. It was skin, stretched tight where the eyes and mouth should be, like someone had taken a human face and erased it with fire and ash. But somehow, he was looking at me, and his hand, long, bony fingers, began to drag across the glass, leaving a trail of frost in the middle of July. He started to spell something. Daniel. Then he opened his mouth. No lips, just torn skin, and from that hole I heard my name again. Not from the window, from inside the room. The search and the scratch. I screamed. Grandpa burst into the room with his shotgun. We searched the yard. No footprints, no one around. Except one thing. 5 long scratches down the side of the house, right under my window. Too high for an animal, too deep for a person. Night 3, the voice beneath. My grandparents nailed the window shut. I slept on the couch in the living room. That night, the silence came earlier. At exactly 2 a.m., the front door handle started to jiggle, softly at first, then violently. Then it stopped, and I heard it again, whispering, fast, wet, and wrong, like voices underwater, like a crowd behind the wall. Then a voice from under the couch whispered, "You looked. In the morning, I finally begged my grandma to tell me what was going on. She looked at me, stone-faced, and said, 'You weren't supposed to open your eyes when the woods went quiet. That man, he was hanged in those trees, died blind. He shows himself to anyone who dares to see him, and once he sees you too, he doesn't stop.' I asked if he was a ghost. She shook her head. He was, once, the final night. They moved me to the guest room with no windows. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the wall. At 2:13 a.m., the lights flickered. Then the power cut out completely. I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow, dragging, then breathing, right outside the bedroom door, like lungs that hadn't worked in decades, gasping through a torn throat. And then I heard the voice right next to my ear. "I still see you, Daniel." I left the next morning. I never went back. My grandparents passed away a few years later. Their house still sits empty. No one's been able to sell it. Too many break-ins. Too many people say they hear whispering in the walls. But here's the part I've never told anyone. Every year on July 14th, at exactly 2:13 a.m., I wake up. My room is freezing. The air is heavy. And on my bedroom window, written in frost, "Daniel, final warning. If you ever find yourself in the woods at night and the trees go quiet, don't open your window. Don't listen to the voice. And never look at his face. Because once the man with no eyes knows your name, he never stops watching."